Right, we've got Wayne here. So let's get into it, right? Big Man United chat. We have to on this podcast. It's part of the contract. Gary Neville made me sign. 5 unbeaten in the league with 3 wins. Yeah. Amorim, Manager of the Month. And Mbeumo, Player of the Month. Where are we at right now?
It's been nice to feel a little bit settled and not panicking about whether the manager's going to get sacked in a week or 2 or not. Obviously, the football has improved. I think we're still conceding far too many goals. But I've been pleased mostly with our resilience over the last 5 games. There's been periods in the Liverpool game, for example, when you equalised, I thought, they're going to go and get the win. And then we managed to dig in and go and get the victory ourselves. I thought Brighton as well. I think last season against Brighton, if we go 3-2 from being 3-0 up, we probably crumble a little bit. But again, we went on and got the goal to make it 4-2. And similarly against Spurs, down to 10 men. They go 2-1 ahead and we managed to get a draw. But I was a bit disappointed with the Spurs game because it felt like in the second half, I thought if we showed a little bit more going forward, there were goals there to be got for us. And we kind of sat back a little bit and tried to hold on to a 1-0 win that obviously didn't come. And then if Spurs get an equaliser, their crowd get up for it, which happened. And obviously we didn't expect Sesko to go off. Then it's obviously a difficult game to be in. So I thought maybe we've dropped 4 points in those 2 games from winning positions that we probably shouldn't have against Forest as well. But generally, it's just good to feel a little bit settled, going into every game feeling like there's a team that can dig in, fight, and are playing a little bit better to the manager's system. I also think he's changed it a bit. We've probably gone a little bit more direct than usual. I think Bryan Mbeumo has been incredible. He's better than I thought he was. Obviously, he was great for Brentford, but he's better than I thought he was. Cunha's been great, despite I think he's only got 1 goal for us, but I think his all-round performance, he was fantastic at Anfield as well in terms of taking the pressure off, wasting a bit of time. I thought Gary Neville had a shocker on Sesko. He kind of digged him out a little bit, and I think there's plenty more to come from Sesko, but one of the things he mentioned was his link-up play and his ability to link up with Cunha and Mbeumo, but I think that's been the best thing about him when he's played. One of the things that Rasmus Højlund didn't offer us was a back-to-goal player, someone that could bring the ball in and join up with the other players, and I think he has done that. But we've still got those issues in the midfield. Casemiro can't play more than 60 minutes a game. I still hate the fact that Kobbie Mainoo isn't in this team. I feel like he's the kind of player we have to have in the side. But generally, it's good to feel good about Manchester United again, although we've got Crystal Palace next, which is difficult.
Do you feel... Is the feeling good just because the feeling's not bad? What I'm trying to say is, what you're seeing in the last few weeks, and we've all been there as supporters, where your club's on a bad run. It was like this a few weeks ago for Liverpool. Yeah. You're just happy when you win a game. Forget how you won it. It's just like, you feel good. Is it because you're getting results, or do you actually see something with the manager, the way the team are playing, that you think, actually, the bigger picture, this could work, this could move forward, or is it just,
I think a little bit of both. Obviously, we were starved of consistent results. We didn't win back-to-back games for a long time, and then you beat Sunderland, you get a few wins, you go to Anfield and win, which we hadn't done, I think it was like since you scored there, 2016, 17. I think it would have been 10 years if we hadn't had won there. So just getting those kind of wins feels nice. But I also think there has seemed to be a penny drop with this team. There's still areas we can improve, like the midfield. But it does feel like the team is getting the manager's system a little bit more.
But I think it's, when you look what's happened at Man United over the last 10 years, for some of them players, when we're talking about Liverpool players and Van Dijk in particular coming out, and the players have been battered, absolutely battered for the last few years. So now they've got a couple of results, and you can see confidence coming back in them. The manager as well, he's needed them results for himself to, get over. We haven't won 2 games back to back, whatever. So I think you can see a bit more confidence. What I think is, on Saturday there was a time where they were in second place, and I still think the players need to be ready for that and be used to that, because, as you said, I think they thought, right, if we win this game, we're in second place, and then they go a bit cautious and think, we need to not concede, where actually you can go and get another goal and win the game. But I think they're gradually getting better, gradually improving.
I think the manager's next game, or the date, November the 24th, is the Wyne Rooney derby. The Wyne Rooney derby is Man United v Everton, isn't it? Man United's next game. A year in, so where are you at right now? The question I asked to Adam, are you just happy United are winning, or do you actually see something going forward? You actually think, okay, it's been a really tough first year, but things are starting to improve.
Yeah, no,
it's just getting good results.
It's been really tough for anyone connected with the club. what's been going on. And I was critical of Amorim a few weeks back, and because emotionally you want them to do well, and you know, can boil over a little bit. But I think we are seeing them improve. I think players are getting to know each other a bit better as well. The new players coming into the team. I still would like to see Bruno a bit further up the pitch. I think, you know, what he can give you further up the pitch is far greater than what he can a bit deeper. So I'd like to see that, and you know, I think January will be interesting to see if they can get players to come and help them. You know, have that little push to try and get into Europe or the top 4, top 5. Well, I don't even know what it is now. Champions League top 6, is it? Top 5. So, but yeah, no, I think gradually we're starting to see better signs, which you have to be realistic and say, are they going to win the league? No, they're not. Can you possibly sneak into the top 4 or 5 and keep yourself in the round come the end of the season? But no, I think we're gradually seeing improvements.
I think the signings I think the signings under Ineos have been. I've been critical of a lot of their decisions that they've made, especially like ticket pricing and things like that. But the signing, like you look at De Ligt, he looks like a leader for us. I think he's been excellent at the back. Lenny Yoro's fantastic, and you're seeing their kind of transfer policy pay off a little bit as well. I think bringing the lads they did bring in the summer, whilst we would have liked a little bit more, the signings have worked. And we're not wasting as much money in terms of transfer fees anymore.
Well, the recruitment before that was horrendous, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was shambolic.
Like the players, they were just bringing names in, and you look at Lukaku, Zlatan, good players, but they were just bringing Pogba, coming back, whatever. They're just bringing names in and spending enormous amounts of money, which, you know, it's going to take a bit of time to actually get over them mistakes.
You said Gary Neville had a shocker. They were on his that was his comments.
I feel like he tries to be.
Don't backtrack now.
No, I'm not. I'm about to say more.
Receipts. I
feel like he tries to be so unbiased that he goes too far the other way, and he just ends up saying
you know what?
Crazy things.
I get that off Liverpool fans. Don't worry, it's part of the deal. But it was about Sesko, wasn't it?
Yeah.
What's your? You know, you're one of the greatest strikers to ever play in the Premier League. He's a young player coming in at Manchester United. What are your thoughts on Sesko?
I think he's going through a bit of a tough time in terms of goal score, but I think what he brings, and I agree with what Adam said in terms of, I think the keeper's come in and done well, and he's been more direct into Sesko. But what we're seeing now is he can compete. He does hold the ball up better than Højlund does, and we're seeing as the ball's going up to him, and Mbeumo making runs in behind, Cunha making runs in behind, Mason Mount at times when he's playing making runs in behind, and so because they know he'll compete and he'll win flick-ons and he'll do that. So I think he's been better than what people maybe suggesting, but I still think he needs to just get the ball, lay it off, get in the box and hope there's chances are created for him. But I think he's been okay. I think he'll come good. Okay,
so I just mentioned, you know, obviously your history as a striker in the Premier League. There's been a lot of strikers bought this season for lots of different clubs. Just a little quick answer on each of them. We've just mentioned Sesko. So Walter Marder, what's your feeling on him?
I'm not too sure, to be honest.
Okay, that was quick. Gyökeres?
I like Gyökeres. I think work rate is what Arsenal's needed for the last few years. I think he's been a really good talent.
Ekitike?
Brilliant. I love watching him play.
Okay, that'll do for me. Superb.
What about Isak?
Short and sharp.
What about Isak, James?
Wasn't on the list.
Do you know what, Isak? I think people maybe don't realise as much how important your pre-season is. If you don't have a pre-season, it's very difficult, and obviously with everything what went on and trying to get out to Newcastle and missing that, there's no surprise he's injured. He got injured. You know yourself, don't you? If you miss that pre-season, you're always catching up.
Let's start with events on Saturday lunchtime at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, where Spurs and Manchester United drew 2-2. Clinton Morrison still alongside. Who do you think will feel better at the end of that game?
Man United will feel better because of the late goal they scored through De Ligt. I know Tottenham scored a late goal, but Tottenham will be probably more disappointed because being 2-1 up and literally the last kick, but it wasn't the kick, the last head of the game by Matthijs De Ligt. And Man United get the point. But I'll be honest with you, Rob, I didn't cover the game. Tim was watching the game in the studio, and the game lacked quality by all accounts. It was nowhere near good enough. It was both teams that are struggling at the moment, even though Man United have been in decent form, but Tottenham at home have been nowhere near good enough. It's not till he made the changes and they managed to get on the front foot and cause problems and test Lammers in the Man United goal. But as I said, probably a better point for Man United because Tottenham were 2-1 up.
They met in the Europa League final, 171.
And it showed that quality. That was the same quality.
Well, who do you think's made more progress since then?
Well, you'd say probably Tottenham have made the most progress. Because, no, that's a difficult one. Because Man United have been okay. Man United have been all right recently. So I'd say both have made the same progress at the minute. I'd say both. I know Tottenham are ahead and they've got a new manager in Thomas Frank. Ruben Amorim over the last month and a half has been under, well, not the last month and a half, the whole season has been under pressure. But every time he's been under pressure, they've managed to find results and they've gone on a little bit of a run recently. So I think both teams have made good progress. We'll have to judge that come the end of the season to see if anyone can win a trophy or where they finish in the league.
You talked about the two managers there. It's interesting, isn't it? Because watching the game on Saturday lunchtime, the United fans were singing the manager's name. I think largely they have been behind him and been happy to give him a little bit of time. In contrast, there were boos when Thomas Frank made a change at the weekend again. Do you get the sense that the frustration for Spurs fans, or one of it's just this home form is awful at the moment?
Yeah, it is. And it must be hard to play there for the players, but that's why you pay good money to be a footballers to entertain. And the home fans pay their hard-earned money, and they can voice their opinion. Their opinion might not always be right, but they'll think it's right. And I think it was Xavi Simons who came on, and come off. They didn't want to come off, and Matthias Tell come on. But then Tell goes and scores the goal. So Thomas Frank, I think he does know what he's doing at times, majority of the time. I think he's gone in there and done well. Thing with Tottenham is not going to be the football that they expected because Thomas Frank's not that kind of manager. We saw what he did at Brentford. They're hard to beat, they're a threat from set pieces, and they get wins, and that's how it is. So if they thought Thomas Frank coming in was going to be attractive football, it's not going to be like that. But he knows Thomas Frank because he's a very, very good manager and it's someone who I've got a lot of time and respect for, that he has to be successful at Tottenham and they have to start winning home games because performances like on a weekend, then that's not going to cut with these Tottenham fans because they voice their opinion, Rob.
The thing about playing at home then, I guess it becomes a bit of a vicious circle that you keep not winning and then the fans get more frustrated, rightly so.
Yeah.
But then the players look forward to it even less because they know that it's going to turn quicker than it did the week before if you concede a goal again. Yeah,
of course it is. It's difficult, but football is It's probably one of the best sports there is to play football, and it's one of the best jobs to do is to be a professional footballer. If you can't take criticism, don't play the game because, as I said, these people have paid their money, and not always are fans, right? Many a times, I'd voice my opinion with fans if I thought the treatment wasn't good. But at the back of your mind, you've got to realise these are fans. They'll support you when it's going well. When it's not going well, they'll tell you when it's not going well. At the moment, at home, it's not going well. They're voicing their opinions. It was the same when they played Chelsea a few weeks ago. Nowhere near good enough. Chelsea by far miles better than Tottenham. And your home form is meant to be your fortress where you go. Teams don't want to come to Tottenham, but it looks like teams like to come to Tottenham because they think we maybe can get a result, and that's not good at the moment.
The one thing you'd say about Manchester United, we've seen it in two big away games recently. That I was at the game at Anfield when they beat Liverpool. Liverpool scored late on and you thought, oh, here come Liverpool, we know what's going to happen here. And actually, United go up the other end, Harry Maguire wins it. Saturday, they go 2-1 down. They're playing with 10 because Benjamin Sesko's had to come off. And then they go and find themselves an equaliser. So that two games that tells you a little bit about the mentality that Ruben Amorim's got in there.
No, great mentality. Listen, I don't think we'll say Man United have turned the corner, but it's progress, and that's the biggest thing you can do with Ruben Amorim. And to be fair, I'm telling you, they had a great chance, Sesko, when he went through and he let Mickey van der Ven come back at him. So they have got a centre forward who was low on confidence and then went off injured. But the players like the Cunhas and the Mbeumas, they are delivering at the moment. They've got fantastic captain in Bruno Fernandes. He's a brilliant footballer. And they never say die attitude at the moment. And that was questioned with these Man United players a few months ago.
Manchester United grabbing a late point with only 10 men having used all the subs and then seeing Benjamin Sesko get injured. The draw keeps Ruben Amorim's side unbeaten in 5. He's happy with the vibes heading into the 2-week international break.
It's really important because it's that feeling of not going home with a losing feeling that is really important. But again, my players need to understand that we we lose 2 points. The feeling in the end is different, but in my head, we lost 2 points, like we lost 2 points against Nottingham. So we need to win the next game. It's going to be in our home, and we need to. Today we had a different energy if you compare against Nottingham, but it's not enough. We need to have a different energy.
Yeah, I mean, look, you were at the game, Coisty, and that tells you a lot about the change in mentality at Manchester United, doesn't it? You know, in times gone by, not too distant times gone by, they'd have seen that as a good point, a point that they've gained with 10 men, brilliant. But there, Ruben Amorim saying quite clearly, 2 points dropped.
I also think, Jeff, in times gone by, they wouldn't have got the point. I think there's more about them. It's evident there's far more about them. They're miles away from the finished article, has to be said. But they look slightly harder to play against, and they certainly look, I think, better in forward areas. Some good performances. I thought Dorgu played well. I thought Ahmad played really, really well. We've mentioned Cunha and Mbeumo before. Those two in particular are at this early stage, I think, look 2 terrific new signings, can handle it. Not even handle it. It looks as though they're thriving in that kind of situation. So I think at this early stage, there must be heaps of positives for Manchester United, but still a lot of work to do. But I take your point. They're disappointed at getting a point, but I think maybe, certainly last season, I don't think they're getting a point.
Yeah. Let's get more on this one, shall we now, with the former Manchester United keeper, Ben Foster. Morning, Ben.
Good morning, Ben.
Morning, everybody. Great show as always.
Thanks, Ben.
Thanks, mate. Do you sense that change in attitude at Man United?
Yeah, I think Ali's probably just said everything that needed to be said right there. I only watched the game on the TV, but they look okay. They look like they're playing with a lot more confidence than what they have done for most of this season. But I just think when you sort of contrast it to the quality of Man City, for example, last night, I think it's very evident that there's still quite a way to go still.
See, I think that's in a nutshell, mate. I really do. I think there's definitely been improvements. I think the positivity around Manchester United is understandable, and so there should be. The small steps, but in terms of the large steps needed to get to the likes of the level at Manchester City, which we saw yesterday, they're still they're a good bit away. But I still think Amorim's. I think he speaks really well, Ben. I don't know what you think, and I actually think it was a good piece of ownership coming out and effectively backing him for a couple of years so that everybody knows, and just as importantly, never mind the fans knowing, I think the players knowing that he's going to be there for a while is something as well.
Yeah, I think people just tend to forget that the Premier League's actually really hard, to be honest with you. Like, the general quality of the Premier League is really, really hard, and to put a string of games together, we're seeing it all over the Premier League, but string of games together where you're winning consistently is really, really hard to do. So sometimes you just have to make sure you don't lose. And I think for Manchester United, they would have lost that game. Earlier in the season, they would have lost that game. They wouldn't have had it about them to go and really search for that equaliser. And that's the bit. I think it's the mentality shift, the mentality change in the players. They're all starting to buy into it now from what the manager's saying. He's been saying it for the best part of the year, in fairness to him. But I think it's finally seeping into the players. And you can see when players play with that belief and that positivity and the confidence, that you get better results for it as well.
I mean, talking of belief and confidence, I think that brings us round to the goalkeeper, Senny Lamens, who I had my question marks about him, coming from a club that play in front of small crowds in Belgium to playing, at Old Trafford and at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. But my word, he exudes confidence, doesn't he? Made a couple of great stops in sort of quick fire time in the second half at the weekend as well. How impressed have you been with him?
Yeah, I'm the same as you, Jeff. I really was. I didn't know what to expect at the beginning. It's a massive step up. You need somebody with a bit of authority, a bit of an aura about them to step into that Manchester United team. But he's done it so far with absolute ease as well. Like you said, he's got this confidence about him. He's coming out for balls into the box, crosses, where I'm thinking, that's, you're normally talking about seriously seasoned Premier League goalies that do this kind of stuff, and he's doing it from the get-go. It still remains to be seen whether he's got the X factors, the little bits that make a good goalie a great goalkeeper. If you look at some of the best goalies in the world at the moment, your Alissons or your Thibaut Courtois, Emi Martinez's, they've got lots of little X factors. There's loads of parts of their game where there's 4 or 5 things that they're world class at. Whether Senny Lamens has got that in his game, like I say, remains to be seen. But it's a fantastic start from it, really is.
Manchester United's recent form isn't bad. In fact, there are clear signs of progress. The team has been creating more chances, showing fighting spirit, and looking more organized under Ruben Amorim. However, despite these positives, United have struggled to turn good performances into consistent victories. In their last 2 games, they had big opportunities to collect all 6 points, but walked away with only 2. The main issue lies in finishing and focus. United often dominate possession and create clear chances, but fail to convert them. Then, a few minutes of defensive lapses undo their hard work. These moments of vulnerability, a misplaced pass, a slow reaction, or a poor clearance, have cost them dearly. Another problem is inconsistency in identity. Amorim's tactical ideas are still taking shape, and the players are adapting to new roles. That means United can look sharp one half and disjointed the next. Psychologically, pressure also plays a role. When the game is in their hands, fear of mistakes sometimes replaces the hunger to win. The good news? United are improving. If they sharpen their finishing and focus, those dropped points will soon turn into victories.